Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Voice It. Here, Quest Matters. And today, our guest is none other than Dr. Chandravadana R, who is the founder and chief mentor of Priyana. So, welcome, ma'am.
Hello, hi, everyone at Pi IEEE as well as hi to Hannah as well.
Welcome, ma'am, again. So, we'll start our interview with our first question.
Okay.
What was your drive? What drove you to start this initiative which helped women who had a career break?
Yeah. So I guess my drive is my own personal experience. Like when I was, I basically am a management graduate. I did my MBA. When even before my schooling and college days itself, I was very ambitious and I was aspirational. So I always wanted to, get be in a very start my own company or be in a powerful position. These are all the aspirations which I had. However, after my marriage, after having kids, after my maternity break, I was not getting a job which I really wanted. So the type of jobs which I was getting was not actually connected to what I studied. And I felt that I'm not getting the kind of response from the job market, and despite having all the skill sets and capabilities myself. So these experiences of getting rejected, I have sent out at least 500 different applications, and getting rejections after rejections, that was a period which I really suffered a lot, I would say. Almost 5 6 years I was on a break, and I really wanted to come back. But one thing that I did for myself was that I never, though I wanted a full time job or a career as such, I what I did is I always kept on doing small things, hustles. I did a lot of freelancing training. So I became a voice artist, and also I started doing all kinds of small jobs so that I can keep myself active. But along with it, I also pursued higher education. I took up a course in psychology because I was interested into training. So I kept myself busy, trying to upskill myself and do things so that when I actually got into a job, I finally landed up as a faculty in a college in a B school. And that was after, I would say, almost 5 6 years of break, and I really struggled, and this I had to do a lot of things to actually reach that. So that's when I, after that also, in order to get into a corporate job again, another set of struggle. So one thing I realized is that after a while, when I started interacting with a lot of women of my age and similar, people with qualification, but unfortunately, after a break, they are not able to get back to career. So this is a pain which I realized, which I understood, and I thought if I can do something about it, it will be good. So in 2014, I quit my job and I entered into setting up my own consulting company, which was an HR consulting, basic recruitment consulting company is what I started. That company, Fortune Factory, is still there. So at that time, when I launched it, I was just doing normal, all kinds of recruitment works is was what I was doing. But later, around 2017, I guess, I also realized my passion in helping women and girls. We started doing a lot of trainings exclusively. We means again, I met a couple of friends who are into training field and who are also equally passionate about skilling and training for women. So we started doing a couple of programs, and then we realized that okay, there is this huge uh, uh, positive thing that we are able to create on these girls and women, because the challenges that women face when it comes to getting back to career are primarily, I would say, the first level is where they themselves are, I would say, they themselves need the confidence. Okay, so the first level is creating that mindset that this is what I want to do. Along with the mindset is clarity building. You need a clarity about what exactly you want to do and how you want to reach there. So all these actually comprises of a lot of coaching. So what I have realized from my journey is that if there were some people, or if I had some kind of a coaching when I wanted to get back to career, or even when I started my business. So when I started in 2014, the first consulting company, I failed utterly. For the first 2 years, I had been failing consistently, trying to do all kinds of things, and it was a big mess. And I also started up. I had a startup which was registered in the NASCOM Startup Warehouse. That also failed in 2017. So my journey has been very exciting, that I have failed a lot, and that too failed very early. So these failures is what I would say helped me to realize and understand that you know it is not just the subject knowledge or the capability or the attitude, the skills that matter, but succeeding in a business or succeeding in a entrepreneurship or even succeeding in career requires so many other things. And one of the key things what I believe is having a good network. Okay, having a good professional support network actually helps in the case of women. So for me, my journey as someone who's really passionate to be in career, not getting the support network, okay, as well as someone who really had to prove a lot in order to get some support or visibility or recognition, I would say. Putting a lot of efforts is what most of the women face. So women issues, if you ask me, women in career, women in business, or women in leadership, the issues are very common worldwide. And I mean, even in Kerala, everywhere it is the same. So what I thought is, okay, now these are all challenges which I faced from my side. As I said, one, my own, I mean, as a person, all the every person has to have certain kind of mindset conditioning changing. Secondly, the family and the support system has to be strong. You need to empower your own family members to handle your schedules and other things. So that is something which you'll have to learn. And apart from that, a lot of skill sets is required. So all this put together, I would what we did is we embarked into organizing trainings for these women, and that actually evolved into what we are seeing Prayana as today. So Prayana is basically an employability, entrepreneurship, and innovation ecosystem for women, where I call it as ecosystem. We are not a training center. We are an ecosystem. We are actually a facilitator for various things, I would say. Most importantly, we build a successful network and a small group, which we call as hubs. In each of these Prana hubs, we have women as well as girls coming together. And the focus is entirely on helping each other in their career or in their business. So that's how I would say, what is the drive or how I started Prayana. Basically, it is my my own experience, and along with that, added to that, a lot of women's experience. You start sharing to others, then everybody is coming up with the same similar problem, and then I realized that okay, this is a problem which probably I can solve in some way, and then I started looking at how to solve it. And then the next stage is what are the different areas or how ways in which I can actually solve this. So that's how Prana as such has been evolving so far. It is still evolving. Every entrepreneurship is actually a journey, and we keep evolving as we go ahead. So that's what is happening.
Okay, as you said, there are a lot of women out there who have stopped in their career because of
Right.
family and having kids and all that. So
Right.
I guess we could call you the fairy godmother of married women. Maybe. Okay, so moving on. Ma'am, you said you've been part of a lot of initiatives which you have failed miserably.
Yeah.
So, is there any one particular initiative which you would say brought happiness to you and maybe immense pride for these failed ones?
From the failed ones, I would say everything I have had immense pride. So whenever try to do something, I always have immense pride that I am doing something great. But then it fails. So my biggest failure, I would say, is probably the platform which I had built in 2016 and 17, which actually got incubated in NASCOM Startup Warehouse. It is called T4Trainer.com. So that was my first startup. Before that, I was just doing a consulting company and other things, but this was actually a solid startup. 2016-17, I was the only woman startup. Maybe one more person was there, but the ecosystem was also not very supportive for women entrepreneurship or women, startup also. So 16-17, I tried really hard to build this platform. platform was actually good. Even now, when I look back at the screenshot, I only have screenshot of the platform. It failed and I had to shut down everything. So the screenshot of the platform, even now when I look, I really feel pride that I could, put together a team who could build that. We had initial very good traction, but unfortunately, I was not funded. I could not, get garner enough funds to scale this up. The initial funds, actually, I took a loan and I invested that money also. That also failed. So the failure actually was due to my ignorance. One, I did not have proper CTO in my company, technology person who actually was able to handle the cybersecurity issue. The platform actually busted because of a cybersecurity issue. It was actually hacked, and I could not, rebuild it. So these are all, I would say, early phase failures, which it's actually a costly failure also. Second was I could not get funded. In fact, funding in those time, I'm talking about 4 years back. Funding in those time has been quite, even now, I would say, it is definitely a tough task for startups. Okay. But looking back, why I think that startup was a glorious thing, or rather a glorious failure, because I see many similar startups, same concept, same platform, right now doing exceedingly well in other parts of the country. For example, I know a couple of same platform, same concept, which has been launched last year and this year. So my idea, or rather my concept of that T420 has been way advanced than what it in 2016-17 it was actually way advanced. It was the first platform to come up with that kind of an idea. So right now there are so many similar platforms which are actually making much good money. Probably, if I was, I got some support or I got some funding at that time, I would have somehow managed to work in that platform. But every failure has a purpose. And I believe after that failure only, I realized that the challenges of actually being a women entrepreneur. Okay. Until then, I was only a woman after career break. But now, after doing that startup, I also realized that there are a lot of other challenges when it comes to being a women entrepreneur, and that too in a startup ecosystem. Lot of challenges in terms of getting the right team, conceptualizing, even though you have a lot of ideas, sometimes if you don't have the resources for that, right connects for that, all that is quite difficult. And one of the things which happens is that most of the startup community meetups happens evening 6 p.m. onwards. Okay. So I told you, right? I was the only woman in that startup NASCOM warehouse. And most of these meetings happen after 6 p.m. And for a woman, it was quite difficult for me to balance my family, my my children, and my this thing, and to attend these meetings. Most of these. So these are all issues which I thought somebody should be representing or somebody should be talking. So today, as part of Prana's entrepreneurship development initiatives, we have networking meetings which happens in the afternoon. So these coffee meetups happen 2 to 4, which is quite convenient for women. So I don't think the normal startup ecosystem understands this particular problem of women. Okay. Now, as long as our society still expects the woman to go out for a job and then come back home and make 5 different types of dishes, we cannot. We will have to find out these kinds of flexible options. So that is why I said, being myself being a startup entrepreneur, I realized that there are so many issues. As I said, these are small things, but even coming to funding and other things also, women do get sidelined. Women may not get the priority unless you are able to showcase, or rather ensure that your project is of that high level. So networking, building connects, and also funding, also managing the people. A lot of things actually comes in the case of managing a startup. So that's why, again, as I said, my failures are my success. Because I failed in all that. From there, I evolved Prayana. So Prayana is right now a very successful project in terms of it's a social entrepreneurship. It is not a typical for-profit this thing. So as per the terms of normal conventional startups, I'm not a billion or $1 million startup as yet. But I'm sure that the kind of value that we are generating and the kind of outcomes that we are able to generate, in the last 3 years itself, we have actually nurtured more than 70, 80 small businesses, women businesses. Those women who have been totally at home, they have not done anything before. Such women are becoming entrepreneurs today. I think there, if you look at the kind of money that they are generating or the turnover that they are doing, I'm a $1 billion business right now because they have definitely created a lot of new things. Though directly we are not taking money for all that, but still I'm extremely happy at the way I've been able to, or rather Tata has been able to influence a lot of women in their career as well as business. So that's why I said every failure has a meaning. So for me, when I failed at that time, I was feeling so miserable. I felt that this is the end of my my startup journey, because I also got a lot of pressure from home. Like my husband as well as my father, my family, everybody said that no, startup is not going to be your forte. Just stop everything, go for a job. Because getting a job is very easy for me. I was also already a faculty. I was doing training and guest faculty, and I also got a lot of offers at that time. But I did not, the problem with being an entrepreneur is that after some time, once you get the hang of being an entrepreneur, it's very difficult for you to, get into a structured rules and regulations kind of an organization. So that's something which I thought I had to persist. Then I persisted, and then I launched Prana in 2017, and so it's going on. I mean, probably even more than what I imagined. We are actually right now a pan India organization. We have hubs all over India, and we are also launching a very big project this year. So yeah, so that's what. So my glorious failure is my glorious success, I would say.
Well, okay, so moving on to our next question. As you know that PI is a special interest group for entrepreneurs. Most of the viewers for our channel is also on entrepreneurs. So can you give us some advice on how to start a socially relevant business from scratch?
Okay. See, social entrepreneurship, I would say, is the future ahead, I would say. See, now you should understand what is the difference between entrepreneurship and a normal business. In Malayalam, we call it as kachoda. Okay. So the what the difference is basically, one, you can start any business. You can become a business person by doing anything. For example, if I want to start a, let's say, preschool. Okay, all I need is a house, and I know that okay. I have to invest some 10 lakhs, and I start getting the students, and every month I have a fees, and so that is business. Okay. Or maybe I start a boutique, or maybe I start a even a college, for example. And I should not be saying this, but still I'm giving an example. So there you have an existing model, you are following an existing model, you want to just be, or rather what do you call, you are starting, you are giving your own brand of doing something, and then you are trying to build upon it. So this is what we call as a normal business. However, when it comes to entrepreneurship is something what I believe is an innovative entrepreneurship, or maybe no, I don't want to use the word entrepreneurship. Maybe startup. Okay, let's call startup. So, what's the difference between a startup and a normal business? Is that in startup you don't know what is it's going to be an uncharted territory. Okay, so that is why we have multi-billion dollars charter startups in the past few years. For example, the very famous startups like I know I hate to give this example, but that is the example which everybody gives, so I'm giving you the same example, which is Uber or Oyo. So these are all concepts, these are things which have been which disrupted the way we do business. So it's like you enter into an area, you disrupt this, and then you come up with a totally new model, right? So this is what a startup does. Now when it comes to social entrepreneurship, now social entrepreneurship also the same concept. Like same concept is where one, you have the traditional social entrepreneurship, where for example I'll say that let's say I'm a social entrepreneur. What I'm doing is, let's say I'm uh, I'm talking to the tribal women in some, let's say, in some forest area, and I'm telling them that I am going to sell all your products, tribal produces. So, and I market in such a way that, okay, it is a social entrepreneurship. I am training these tribal women to stitch, cloth bags. This is how we work. So that is definitely a social entrepreneurship. Why? Because you are actually impacting the women or the community there. So it is a livelihood project, and there is a direct impact in terms of what is the money that goes to them. It's actually helping them to live. So that is one example of a social entrepreneurship. There is a traditional way of doing, but there is another next level of social entrepreneurship where, for example, let's take a case of waste management. Okay, um, even I was reading about a girl in Bangalore who does this huge waste. Waste segregation machines. That is actually considered as a social entrepreneurship. It is actually a profitable venture. Why? Because there is somebody who is paying money for that particular machine, and so definitely that is a profitable venture. However, it is a social entrepreneurship because it is solving a social problem. The social problem here is waste, right? So every social entrepreneurship, what I feel, especially the social startups, I would say, tries to solve a major social problem. Okay, it could be major or even a minor social problem, but it should be a social problem. So the solution actually starts with the problem. Okay, so let me come back to my own initiative, which is Prayana. We have a social problem in terms of one, gender equality. Gender equality, where when it comes to equal participation of women in the economy. So that is a major social problem. It is in fact in India, we have the lowest economic participation of women. It's like 26% or 27% of women only are contributing to the economy. So if only we could actually improve that number to, if not 50%, at least 40%, there's a huge economic impact in the economy. We can, our GDP would be increased at least by 30 to 40%. That's what the studies say. But nobody is taking a serious step on that. So that is where we pitched in, or rather Prayana pitched in, and we decided to work in that direction. It is a social problem. So what are the reasons for that social problem? And I am trying to solve, or rather give solutions for both those pain points. The pain points include: one, the women themselves are being not confident enough to get back to career. It's number one. Number two, the awareness, or the so-called the market system also need to create an awareness. The HR managers also need to be sensitized to saying that a woman is a better hire. Okay, because they already have a perception that women, especially after career break, they are not a good hire. So these are also, it requires a lot of campaigning. It requires a lot of activism in terms of talking about gender equality, talking about diversity and inclusion, all these stuff that has to be done. But most importantly, other than all this, the women also need to be skilled and trained and also become employable. So that is about employability. Similarly, if a woman wants to start a business or become an entrepreneur, there are a lot of challenges in terms of first, stereotypical expectation from the family as well as from the others, which prevents her to do all these things. And as I said, the entrepreneurial or the startup community is still a masculine community. Okay, you go there, if you are the one of the few women there, you feel awkward. So I hope girls will understand that, even the men will understand. So these are all issues that women face, and we thought, or rather, I thought that if I could do something in terms of creating a better ecosystem for the women to feel comfortable. First of all, comfort is very important in terms of comfort means not the physical comfort, but the mental comfort of networking and meeting people. Talking about business. So these are all, so skill development, networking. So these are all areas which I thought I found an opportunity. So there I found the problem itself became an opportunity to come up with a social entrepreneurship concept. So that is how social entrepreneurship was. Now, how to do this from scratch? There is no magic way. There is no mantra which I can give you. It comes out of experience. It comes out of trying and experimenting. And again, I told you, right? Even in Prayana itself, I have experimented different things, and sometimes it has failed. Some of them have failed. Every we try and evolve certain models, to get the best outcome. So right now we have earlier, when we started Prayana, we launched something called a fellowship training program, where we used to charge 10,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees for that program. But nobody was willing to pay that money. In fact, we started getting calls from women that I want to get back into career, but my husband is not giving me money, okay, to join for the fees. Then I started looking around, asking, hunting around organizations for sponsorships and support and CSR, whatnot, but nothing materialized. Then I realized that okay, probably I have to come up with another model. So that's how finally, right now, we are in a stage where we have an online platform, and I am taking these things digital. So I have come out with a new solution for an existing problem after trying certain iterations of my own style of problem solving. So that's what, to answer your question, is there any right way of, or how to start a social entrepreneurship from scratch? There is only the right way is actually by doing. I know many very 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 passionate social entrepreneurs who are solving issues in education, in in healthcare, in waste management. Very very passionate people. But if you ask them, the first few years they literally struggle. Everyone struggles for the reason that it is not money making. You will have to put in 24 hours of work for probably no money at all. Sometimes you make a little bit of money, that's it, and then you start feeling frustrated after some time. However, once who persist and evolve and bring out better models of social entrepreneurship, they definitely become successful. And I think that persistence is what is the key. And I would say probably a few years back, nobody even considered social entrepreneurship as an entrepreneurship. But right now, again, the ecosystem is quite conducive, and we have more people talking about social entrepreneurship. We have more people who are willing to come forward and solve social problems. And social entrepreneurship is also getting a little bit of attraction from everybody. I think even Kerala Startup Mission, I heard Sajisa talking about some kind of a social entrepreneurship fund which is being created, which is slightly different from the general startup funding. Because if I make a project plan for Prayana and go and present it in a startup investor funding, I will not get funded because it is not a profitable venture. Okay, but I know that there is money in this. I can definitely bring funds, and I can also impact people. So that is why I'm working in this. But it is not falling into the normal, what do you call, startup terminologies and investor terminologies, and angel investors and VCs will not get probably attracted unless they have a personal value system. Then they want to work in these social domains. So there are a couple of people who are interested that way, but otherwise they will not be. So yeah, so I shared whatever came to my mind. I hope that answered some of the questions. Yeah.
Yes, it definitely did. It was a wonderful answer. So, ma'am, you've told about how to start a business, the failures to manage. So, the next question I want to ask you is that how do you manage a very healthy business with family and all of that? How do you manage to keep your business healthy?
First of all, you should not ask this question. This is the question we normally ask only to women. You don't ask this question to a male entrepreneur, do you? Tell me yes or no.
No.
No. That is the problem. Again, I'm telling you. See, this is the stereotype we have in our society. That the moment you have a women entrepreneur in front of you, you start asking, how is your family? How do you manage your husband? How do you manage your kids? I think we have to evolve from that. I would say someone who is really passionate, or someone who is really want to do something in their career or something, or want to do these kinds of things, has to find out ways to manage the family also, right? So obviously I run my family quite okay. So I have no, I have, I don't have any serious issues in managing my children and their studies, and they are okay. The best thing what happens when you become an entrepreneur or any career woman for that sake, even if you're a women leader, for example. I have a lot of friends who are managing, who become regional managers and vice presidents and all in companies. I have a lot of them. They also, everybody has the people who are really passionate about managing their career and their personal life. I'm sure they will have their systems in place. So in my case, my children, right from the beginning itself, because it's been around 6 years since I entered into entrepreneurship. Before that itself, I was trying to, build my career and other things. So I have been always busy mom. I've never been an idle mom for my kid. Okay, so I never also sit and teach them. You did you study your where is your maths note? Where is your English note? No, I'm not that kind of a mother. So the thing is that they manage themselves. They take care of their studies. They take care of their stuff. They have their own. Their almara is cleaned by them only. I don't clean their almara, so that is their job. So these are all things which automatically the children also develop and learn when the mother is busy. When the mother is busy, obviously the children learns these things. But normally what happens is the mother normally ends up pampering, doing all these things, even cleaning the plate of whatever you eat. Also, you're supposed to go and clean. So those kinds of culture has to change if women has to contribute to the economy. So obviously in the family, everybody has to become what Modi ji says, Atmanirbhar. Unless you become Atmanirbhar, women cannot contribute to the economy. So the husband and children, everybody has to take care of their own stuff, and also take support each other in household chores. Only then, women can get more time. So in my house, definitely cooking, cleaning, everything is done by it is not just my responsibility. It is responsibility is taken by everybody concerned. So yeah, so that's how you develop.
So, with that, unfortunately, we've come to an end of this interview. Thank you, ma'am, for taking your time and joining us today. I'm pretty sure the viewers, especially the women, who needed that extra push in starting something, starting a venture, might have gotten that from this interview.
Sure,
So,
thank you.
I'd like to take this time to express my gratitude on behalf of PI and IGP Kerala section. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Hannah. I would like to, also because this is a forum, I thought I should also share one project which we have launched right now in Prayana, which is called the C2C mission. C2C means come back to career. So we have a C2C mission 2021, where in 2021 we are helping and nurturing, or rather mentoring, 2,000 women to get back to their career. So it's a big project. It's a pan-India project, and we are looking at onboarding 101 mentors all over India. All these mentors are women leaders who are already working in professions. They want to help these women. So we are looking at onboarding mentors from different states of India, and we are also onboarding mentees. So the mentees also all are scrutinized and onboarded to become a mentee at Prayana. And we expect that within 6 months to 1 year they actually get into a career. Now career means, I have to explain this also. Career means it is not just a job. Some people will say എനിക്ക് ഇവിടെ വന്നാൽ ജോലി കിട്ടുമോ, guaranteed ജോലി കിട്ടുമോ. No. No, that is not what we do. Career means is to basically guide and coach and identify. Most of the women we interact with, first of all, are confused about what is better for them. It's always it's good to get a professional support there. So that is something which we do. Secondly, within 6 months they embark into any area. Like for example, it could be freelancing, it could be a gig, it could be skilling, it could be higher education in some cases. In fact, 2 years back, after one of our C2C programs, a lady actually joined for an MBA course because she finally, after so many years of break, we have a lot of stories of like that. But she, recently completed her MBA, and she sent a thank you note for us, because I think even that is a progress. Any progress is progress. So, this is what we are aiming to do, and I request for support from everybody to join in this mission. You could also nominate to become a mentor. Mentor is a woman who already is working somewhere and who has a passion to help another woman. So that is a mentor. And mentee is anybody who is really keen and who is ready to put in all the efforts to get back into career. So C2C Vision 2021, I request all your support for this. And for any more details, I think you can check out our website, prana.org, or our Facebook page also, Prana Collective.
Okay, ma'am. We wish you all the very best for this venture. So once again, thank you for joining us, and thank you everyone for watching. This is
Thank
Hannah
you.
signing off.
Bye.